Hi, and welcome to this tutorial about how to build an editor utility widget in UE5. Usually when we're building things in Unreal Engine, we're thinking about what's going to be in-game or what's happening at runtime. The software is very adaptable and gives you the opportunity to create functions that work in the editor. So we can create a thing called an editor utility widget, which opens up as a window. It'll be here just like a tab like all the others, and you can put in your own functions. So first what we're going to do is see how to create one and understand the interface, and then in the second section we'll look at some examples of functionality that you can add. So hopefully that gets your mind going and you can think of how you could set up some tools for yourself next time you're in a project and you find you're doing some repetitive or awkward things and you'd rather just have a button that takes care of it. So at the end of this video you should be able to create an editor utility widget all on your own and understand how to go about creating functions within it. And to follow along, all you need is general familiarity with Unreal and the basics of blueprints. So let's go. Okay, so first thing we need to do to create an editor utility widget is decide where we're going to keep it. So I'm going to create a folder here, call it widgets, and right click, editor utilities, editor utility widget. There's two layouts you can choose, a stack box, which will just put one thing after the next, or a grid panel, and I'm going to choose the grid panel and rename it EUW Tools. Let's save that and open it up. So here we have the interface, which is the standard widget interface pretty much, and let's just have a quick walk through it. So on the left we have things that we can add to the screen, and this is our hierarchy. So similar to our outliner, anything that we add to this screen will show up here, and the details panel over here on the right. And to begin with, let's just add some text. So I'll just scroll in so we can see this here. So these buttons let you move in different rows or columns. The more you add things, the more the table will get formed, and then you'll be able to push things down a row or over a column with these buttons up here. So looking at our details panel, we can see how the alignment will go, the vertical and horizontal alignment. So it's currently fitting vertically and horizontally all of the assigned space. And if we want to change our text, come in here and change the text. And I'm going to call this notes. So immediately it's updated. And one thing that we could do with an editor utility widget is just list out things that we want to remember. Let's say you've created some input actions and you've assigned keys to do certain things in your game, but you keep forgetting what they are while you're developing. You could just add some text here and make a note of it. So let's make this text actually, if we twirl down the font section, we can come in here, change the font family, the typeface, the size. I'll make this 50 so it's a bit more of a title. Now I'll bring in another text block and I want it to be below, so click down. Now it's occupying the same space as notes. Down once more, and it's actually now below it. I'll update this text to say W is up. Then I'll hit Shift Return to go down. A is left. Shift again, Enter to go down. S down. D right. Okay, so if I compile, save, and close this, now I'm going to right click on the editor utility widget icon here and run. And now I've got a tab and I can put it wherever I want within the engine. And here we go. So the text is a little bit jumbo. Not crazy about that. So I'll just come back in here now, select it again, change that 50 to 25, and change the text below from 32 to 20. Compile, save. It happened automatically. And this is already starting to be helpful for us. Look at that. So now that we've built it, we'll stop this section here and we'll come back in a second and look at building custom features that might be helpful to you. Okay, so now that we've built our base editor utility widget, let's go back in and start looking at some functionality. So I'm just zooming in now with the scroll wheel. So what I'd like to do is let's create a button that when I press it, it will make whatever object I have selected in the outliner drop 1,000 in the z-axis, so it goes below the floor, so it just kind of goes away for a bit. And then we can create another button that will bring it back up 1,000. So a great way of making things just kind of shift out of the way if that's what you want for now. Sometimes going in and turning off the visibility isn't really helpful to you and you just want it out of the world. So that can sometimes be a helpful thing to do. So in the palette, I'm going to search for a button, editor utility button. I'm going to drag that in and click down, down, down till it's occupying its own space. And we're going to put some text inside the button. So I'll type text in here. And let's put the text in. Wow, that's freaking out. I'm going to drop it inside the block. So now we've got text inside the block. And if you look over here at our hierarchy, we've got a grid panel with two pieces of text that are at the same level of hierarchy. Then we've got the editor utility button. And then the text block that we just added is a child of the button. So I'm going to rename the button by clicking on it, coming up to the details panel, and at the very, very top, I'll change it to button drop 1,000. And let's now go to the text block, and I will change the text to say drop 1,000 Z. And I'm going to reduce the size because that's a bit too large. Make it 15. All right, and let's compile. And we can see that our drop 1,000 Z button has shown up right there, which is great. And now to make the button do something, let's click is variable. And then down here, we've got the events. So on clicked, now we can put in some blueprints. And again, this is the graph view. We can go back to the designer view or to the graph view as we need. So on clicked, we want something to happen. So we want to get the editor actor subsystem. This is telling Unreal we want to access what's going on in the outliner. And we will get selected level actors. So that's whatever I've clicked in the world. And for each of them, because we may have multiple selected, connect the array of all the selected actors, and we will do a loop for each of them. We want to add actor world offset. So I don't want to set the transform or anything. I just want it to add something to the position, and that's what our offset is. And the element that I want to do this to is the target. The delta location will be -1,000. So I don't want to just set it at -1,000. I want to move it by 1,000. So that way, if I move it 1,000 in the other direction, it's going to come back to exactly what it was at the beginning, because the starting point may not have been 0. It may have been 16 or 160 or something. And I don't really want to get into the complexity of stuffing that information in a variable to keep track of it. So let's just compile and save. Let's check if this actually works. So I need to bring something into the world. I'll just now go to a cube. All right, here's our cube. And so it is, when it's not selected, drop 1,000 doesn't do anything. If it is selected, there it goes. There it is. And we can see that the location is now -900, which means it had a starting point then of 100. So let's just bring that back up. And let's look at setting the other button now. So with the designer, let's zoom in and let's bring another button into the screen. And push down, down, down. You could just write in here the row that you want it to be, which is row 4, I think. It'll snap there immediately. And we're going to again put some text in. And what font size did I use here? I used 15. So we'll make this 15 as well. And change the text block to raise 1000Z is variable, but I want to change the name because, no, that's the wrong one. You've got to be careful that you have the button itself selected. So this will be variable. And then I'm going to change the name so that I understand what it is I'm looking at. And that will be raise 1000. And if we go into the graph, mode, we can also access the onClicked here. We don't have to do it in the designer side, but I'll now add onClicked. And again, we want to get the selected level actors, and we want to add a for each loop, and we want to add the actor world offset. It'll be a positive 1000 now instead of a negative 1000. So that will move it up 1000, compile, save. So if I drop 1000, there it is. You can see the little outline. That's where it is. Raise 1000, and it's back up. So I think we can see now that you could build some pretty cool tools if you understand a bit of blueprinting, or you're happy searching for tutorials on YouTube. Oftentimes when you're creating in Unreal, I think you can find yourself doing some repetitive tasks or things that are prone to error, and instead you could set them up as a utility widget function. One example is I was working on a 2D animated show where I had a bunch of characters in my world, and I kept needing to take them off the set and then bring them back depending on what I was recording in the sequencer. So I created some buttons that made them move off to the side or drop them down and then bring them back when I needed them. And I also needed to assign the live link face to only one character at a time so they weren't all animating. So I could tell it which character I wanted to activate, and then it would find that character in the outliner and assign some parameters to the live link so that it knew to look for my phone, and it would deactivate all the other ones. So that way I was making sure with a click of a button right before I started to use Take Recorder that I would be recording the proper actor, and I didn't forget to go clicking through the details panel and changing all these settings. So it's just a great way to bring things up to the fore to your top level, and you can keep working. So hopefully this little tool is helpful to you, and you can find applications that might serve you well in future. So thank you very much for watching today, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And please let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you'd like to know further, or comments for the next tutorial. Thank you so much. Bye.